should have taped the whole thing. Okay, sorry.
Hey, that's exactly why I keep my hands away from the controls before we start these things, because I will just break stuff.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Inquiring Minds. I'm Steve Harper. With me, as always, is my amazing co host, Donna Carlin. Donna, how are you doing today?
I am so looking forward to this. I'm great, thank you. And how are you doing?
I'm doing good. As long as I don't touch anything, I won't break anything. So, I mean, that's
Good.
right before we clicked record, I was doing something. I don't know what I was doing. But today, I'm just going to focus on you, the conversation. That's all that matters to me right now. So,
Okay. Sounds
what
good.
are we talking about today?
Okay, let's dive into hope is a caveat. How's that? Hope is has nothing to do with commitment. Hope is our way of throwing in a caveat in the conversation.
You mean like I hope this conversation goes well and I sound as smart as you?
I'm
I
going to
think this
tell you
might be
to
very
strike the
timely for
second
me.
part of that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It could
yeah,
be
yeah.
very timely. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I love this. I mean, it's a really interesting topic. So hope is a caveat. I mean, what do you mean by that in your estimation?
I love words. I love how people use words. I mean, half of my work, if not more, is how people frame things tells me so much about their shadows, their character, their loves, their wants, their dreams, all of it. Hope literally takes you away from the execution of something. So I'll give an easy example. Somebody invites you to attend something,
Hmm.
and your answer is, I hope I'll be able to be there.
Yeah.
That's not a commitment. That's
No.
not saying, I look forward to it. I will see you there, is one thing. I hope to be able to come is a way for you to have that caveat to say, well, I hoped to be there, but 15 other things got in the way because you just couldn't say, unfortunately, I can't come. You don't even have to give a reason. I have a conflict. I can't come. I wish you all the best. That hope
Yeah.
thing you think is going to be an easy way out, but it really isn't because you let yourself down, you let everyone else down.
Yeah.
And it's a caveat. That word is a caveat.
Yeah, and when you think about that, the person that is, inviting you to that event automatically is hearing, yeah, maybe I'm not a priority, or I know you're not coming, but you don't want to say it to my face right now.
That's it.
So
That's it.
I know hope is going to be, no, I'm not, or you're not going to make it, so we won't see you. That's really what that what that means. But it is really, hope is not progress. It's not, delivering the end results. I think when you think about it in a corporate context, I hope we make our quarterly sales goal, or I hope we can land that big account, or I hope that we can expand big enough to add those three more people to our team. It is, like you say, a caveat because it's there's this really unspoken level of an out, right, for you to,
That's right.
well, it was just something we were hoping for, but we weren't really committed to doing it. And like you said, it really does come down to, and we've talked about it on several episodes, is really is it's a language thing that really does show an underlying intention, which I think is really interesting to explore.
Now, before we start getting a million emails about the word hope in a different context, that
Uh,
doesn't mean that we don't have hope where things are really rough. So, for me to have hope when I was diagnosed with cancer that I will get beyond this,
yeah,
that is an important kind of hope to have. That's the optimism that things will turn out and you will do everything that you can in your power to
yeah,
work towards that. That's a different kind of hope. It's the
correct.
articulated to yourself or others. I
Hmm.
hope to be able to do this, or I hope to be able to be there, or I hope to be able to engage with this in a way rather than hope, which literally puts you aside and puts like a barrier in between the I'm going
Yeah,
to commit to do something or I intend to do something to, well, in a perfect case scenario, I hope this will work out.
yeah,
That's where all the factors align to make things easy for you. That's not life, right? So looking at that, how often do you catch yourself using the term "I hope to" rather than "I commit to"?
Yeah, that's a great perspective. And like you said, for those that really do, not to take away from the approach, like you said, when you were dealing with your personal situation, that you have to have that, you have to hold that out, and there's a context for hope. But what we're talking about is the more immediate commitment piece to the the replacement, right? The commitment instead of the hope.
Exactly.
I will say, every week when I flip on the camera and I get here early to the studio, I hope that you're going to show up. And this is not the week you decided to, hey, this was been fun, but I'm going to go find a new co-host.
Yeah, that's not happening. Or I hope that the caffeine is going to kick in,
That's
so
right.
that
I
I'm
really
not going to
hope
be
this
aloof
cat,
the whole day.
because we're
Yeah.
always so low energy. I mean, it's, I hope everybody recognizes that, of course. But
Yeah.
really, at the end of the day, it's really interesting because when you raise this, I was thinking how many times that word hope actually gets used in my professional context, and what I've heard it from clients, I've heard from people that have very lofty goals and ambitions, but the hope is really giving themselves that out. And when you, as a coach, say, okay, instead of hoping, what are you going to do to commit and make it happen? And that could be true whether we're working with a client or we're talking to our team. And it's great to have these lofty ambitions, but lofty ambitions alone and that hope won't get the job done. So what do we need to do to ensure that we're taking the positive steps forward to make the progress necessary to actually fulfill the commitment? And I think that's an important aspect. And I like the fact that you raised this because I think if you're not thinking about it, you probably aren't asking yourself that level of question. How often am I using the word hope in replacement of I'm committing to this, or I'm going to make this happen, or I'm going to do this in order to get the result I'm looking for? And you're subconsciously giving yourself that out and that excuse. Well, it just didn't make it. Right? It just didn't happen. And how many times you are failing to perform at the level that you're capable because you did give yourself that out. You're almost telling yourself before you start that, well, it probably won't work out, but if it does, it'd be great. But at the end of the day, it really does, that languaging and that motivational mindset that you've got to have in order to deliver the result, I think is really critical.
So, when you catch yourself thinking or saying, I hope to be able to do this, instead turn it into a question. How can I do this in a way that I want to do it? Or how can I do this so I can honor a commitment? Not that I hope to maybe show up
Yeah.
somewhere. Do I want to show up? Do I have the opportunity to show up? Do I have a conflict to showing up? If the answer is I have a conflict and I want to honor the commitment I made to the other person or the other event or whatever it is, then the answer is I wish I could be there. However, I have another commitment. I wish you well. I hope it goes well. Yesterday, I guess it was, my brother told me he was doing this presentation for his sim center, at McGill, and I said to him, I would, love to be there. And he told me what time it was, and I had a conflict. So I said, unfortunately, I can't be there. I didn't say I hope to be able to figure out how to make it.
Because
I
you
said,
know
I
already
can't
you
be
can't
there.
be
Let me
there.
know. And it
Yeah.
wasn't recorded. So he said, next time, because we're going to do many of these. So, that was great. I told him that I wished that I could be there, though. So he knew that my heart was with him and I wished him well. I just couldn't be present.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
felt good in honoring the other commitment and not putting somebody else aside to replace them and the importance of them with my brother. Again, that's a choice, right? Sometimes, growing up, you'll experience somebody saying, yes, I'll go to your party, and then something better comes along. They don't show up, they go to the better thing or with the better group of people, and you're burned so many times in your growth stages that you almost expect it to continue into your adulthood
Yeah.
and the business environment and everything else. And really, it shows who you are when it comes to a sense of integrity to honor the commitments you make, and at the same time share with the other person. You wish you could split yourself into, unfortunately you can't, and wish them well. This
Yep.
hope stuff, the minute somebody hears hope, even subconsciously, they know, oh, they're not going to be there, or no,
Yep.
they're not going to do this.
Hearing
Um,
it or saying it, right? At the end of the day, it's both.
that's right. So,
Yep.
what is the impression you're leaving when you say something like that? What is the lack of commitment that you're making? Do you think that straddling the fence is going
Yeah.
to get you anywhere with anybody? Those are the questions to ask yourself.
Yep. Yep. I don't remember who quite said it, but years ago there was I think it was probably a famous politician. I want to say it was actually General Schwarzkopf at one point talking about what they were doing to maximize the results during the Gulf War. And somebody asked, what do you hope the outcome will be? And he said something to the effect, and I could be completely misquoting this, but I don't think so. He said, "Hope is not a strategy. It's a it's a town in Arkansas. It's we don't look at hope. We look at what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and we don't leave anything to chance. And so I do think that it's really there's a lot of value in really understanding that process. And like with many of our conversations, a lot of these are things, perspectives, and approaches that you might not think about day to day unless somebody's putting it in front of you. And obviously, if you're working with a coach or someone that's kind of helping you get to that next level of success, if they're good and they're listening to how you communicate and how you interact and what you're doing in terms of not just the words you use, but ultimately the actions you take, you probably have somebody kind of prompting you along this line. But a lot of us don't have that, which is why I think these conversation topics are really timely for folks to think about that. And how am I using that in my own life, and um, how might this situation be limiting me in terms of my performance, my reputation? Like you said, you hear that and you hear it enough times, somebody knows
Okay.
you're not reliable. It impacts you, your personal brand, your company's brand, all these things. So I think these are really, really powerful topics to cover.
And there's a few of those, right? The hope is one.
Yep.
I'll try to do this, or I'll try to be there. What's Yoda's
There
quote?
is no try,
Try,
there's only do.
there's only do. That,
Yep.
it's yeah, there's a different, side to try. I will try this food to see if I like it means you're going to try the food to see if you like it. But I will try to be there. I will try to, to call this person or get in touch with this person. No, I will get in touch with this person. I will do this because I'm committing to it. So look at the words that you're using
Mm-hmm.
that are literally um, giving you a caveat rather than a
Giving you
commitment,
the out. Yep. Yeah.
a caveat. That's right. Exactly. And there you
I
go.
love it. Well, as with every one of these topics, these are things that we really want to hear from our listeners and see how they respond to it. Was this useful? Did you have a new perspective that we brought to the table? And how are you using this as your potential caveat? Is this something that you didn't realize was kind of a habit? We would love for you to share with us and continue the conversation and expand it. And so, Donna, how can folks get in touch with us or get involved in this conversation to keep it going?
Steve could be found at ripplecentral.com. I could be found at Donna Carlin with a K.com. That's, email, social media links, all of that. Come to our Facebook group, which is Inquiring Minds with Donna Carlin and Steve Harper. Let us know what you're thinking, what you want us to talk about, your perspectives. If you think we're totally off track or we're onto something, we want to hear all of it. Introduce yourselves, like join the group and introduce yourselves. I actually sent out a call for that in the new
Yep.
year, forgetting that it was the new year and everybody's disconnecting. So I'm going to do that again and ask people to introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about you and where you're at in your life and how we're helping enrich it in some way. I'd love
Yeah.
to hear that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that we want to continue those conversations as we've got tons of episodes, lots of great topics that we've covered. We'd love to hear which ones are resonating with you. If there's a particular topic or an area of that's been a struggle for you, or an area that you find a particular challenge, we would love to have that conversation and see if we can help you, whether it be on a future episode, or Donna and I can actually get on a call with you. So join the Facebook group so that we can get to know you, and really create more of a level of community by having you be involved, us being involved, and getting to introduce you to other great people that are really getting value out of this show. So we are so grateful that you guys took the time to watch another episode of Inquiring Minds. We'll be back again with another powerful topic very, very soon. So, Donna, you take care, and I hope to see you next week. I'm kidding. I will see you next week.
Excellent. Looking
All right.
forward.
All right. Take care.